Air India One, the Prime Minister's plane would be wheels up. This time, it has a massive 5-nation tour upcoming in the next week, starting July 2nd. Prime Minister Modi is all set to embark on a historic tour of the Global South with a key visit to Rio de Janeiro for the 17th BRICS Summit, with stops in Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina and Namibia. The voice of the Global South is once again set to create global headlines with a landmark visit from G7, SCO, Quad, BRICS and of course the G20. India is the undisputed voice, it seems, in matters from the Global South. And our next report tells you exactly why.
It's a great honor to host you at the G7. India has been coming to the G7 since 2018.
Just days ago, he was in Canada for the G7 summit. Just last week, India was represented at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization.
Excellency, I believe that the biggest challenges that we are facing in our region are related to peace, security and trust deficit. And the root cause of these problems is increasing radicalization, extremism and terrorism. Excellency, peace and prosperity cannot coexist with terrorism and the proliferation of weapons of the mass destruction in the hands of the non-state actors and the terror groups. Dealing with these challenges require decisive action, and we must unite in our fight against these evils for our collective safety and security.
Months from now, US President Donald Trump is set to visit India for the Quad Leaders Summit.
क्वाड की अगली बैठक के लिए प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप को भारत यात्रा का निमंत्रण दिया। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने निमंत्रण स्वीकार करते हुए कहा कि वे भारत आने के लिए उत्सुक हैं।
But this week, PM Modi is all set to embark on a historic tour of the Global South, with a key stop in Brazil for the 17th BRICS Summit. India's global influence is growing. With a successful G20 summit held in New Delhi in 2023, PM Modi is emerging as a vibrant voice of the Global South.
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, मेरे बड़े भाई, आपने अपनी बुद्धिमानी, साहस और करुणा से भरे नेतृत्व से भारत को केवल 10 ही वर्षों में प्रगति की पथ पर अग्रसर किया है.
The leader of the Global South, and we will rally behind your leadership at Global Forum.
Excellency, today India stands at the vanguard of global progress, guided by a bold and inclusive vision for development, sustainability and technical innovation. Under your dynamic leadership, India has emerged as a strong advocate for the Global South.
Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy has been very visionary, very far-sighted and clearly anchored in India's own national interests, reaching out to the rest of the world. The principal basis of his foreign policy has been Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that you have to consider the world as one family, that India wants to achieve its position in this family. India wants to develop for the sake of its own people, economic development, political development, scientific development, all these all these aspects are there. But we realize that we want to do it in cooperation and in partnership with the other countries of the world. And this is where Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy has provided very strong leadership for India in the rest of the world.
PM Modi is all set to embark on a 5-nation tour to some of India's most important partners in the Global South. This includes a stop in Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina, Brazil and Namibia. The journey begins with the first stop in Ghana on July 2nd. This will be the Prime Minister's first ever bilateral visit to Ghana and the first one by an Indian Prime Minister in over 3 decades. In 2018, President of Ghana had visited India last. In March this year, their foreign minister was in New Delhi for a visit. and this trip of PM Modi is expected to further boost the ties of the two nations in economic, energy and defense collaboration. From a brief stop in Ghana, on July 3rd, the Prime Minister will fly to Trinidad and Tobago for the second leg of his tour. It will be the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the Caribbean nation since 1999. Just last year in November, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago was in Delhi for a bilateral visit. This year, PM Modi is expected to also address a joint session of the Parliament of the island nation. The next step of the visit is perhaps the most interesting one. From Trinidad and Tobago, the PM on July 4th will reach the third destination of his tour, Argentina. This will be PM Modi's second visit to Argentina, with the first one being in November of 2018 for the G20 summit held in Buenos Aires.
भारत और अर्जेंटीना के बीच 15,000 किलोमीटर की दूरी है। हम दोनों देशों के बीच दो विशाल महासागर और महाद्वीप हैं, लेकिन भारत और अर्जेंटीना में एक दूसरे की संस्कृतियों के प्रति आदर भाव के सामने हजारों किलोमीटर की दूरी सिर्फ एक आंकड़ा मात्र है।
PM Modi is expected to hold discussions on wide-ranging issues with President Javier Milei.
Argentina is a strong bilateral partner for India, both in terms of trade, in terms of the overall strategic metrics, both in Latin America as well as globally. And therefore, from that point of view, Prime Minister stopping over in Argentina will give him a chance to really gauge how the Global South idea is progressing, but what role can Argentina play in making that a success.
From Argentina, on July 5th, PM Modi will arrive in Rio for the 17th BRICS summit. This year's summit is going to be an interesting one. While Brazil is the host nation of the summit, heads of the two states of two important founding nations of BRICS are not going to be in attendance. Just like the 2023 BRICS summit in Johannesburg, President Putin is going to skip the trip to Rio to avoid an arrest under the International Criminal Court warrant issued against him for the Ukraine war. Interestingly, for the first time in 12 years, Chinese President Xi Jinping is going to give BRICS a skip, with Chinese Premier Li Qiang attending instead. The reason for Xi not attending? Reports from Beijing suggest that the Chinese president was miffed with President Lula as he invited PM Modi for a state dinner instead of him. This despite the fact that Lula had visited Beijing on a state visit just last month.
Has been speculation in the papers about who is coming and who is not coming. Certainly, the President of Brazil, President Lula da Silva, has given a very, very important profile to our Prime Minister's visit. And in addition to participation in the BRICS summit, in the bilateral visit, he's doing a state dinner. But I think that all this coming in the papers that Chinese President Xi Jinping is not coming because of this, I don't think that is kind of serious at all. I think probably President Xi Jinping has his own internal problems within China, to consider, and that is why he decided not to leave the country, leave his country at this point.
Both Xi Jinping and Putin missing in action, PM Modi is expected to take a leading role as the senior-most statesman amongst the founding BRICS members in attendance.
I don't think that really will make a huge lot of difference, because whether Putin and Xi were there or even if they were there, it would be difficult to ignore the voice of India at a meeting like BRICS. And India does have a strong voice in the affairs of the global economy as well as BRICS.
I think that the respect for Prime Minister Modi will always be there in these summits. Regardless of whether President Xi Jinping is there or President Putin is there or not there, it doesn't matter. I think our Prime Minister, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has carved a real special place for himself in the opinions, in the hearts and minds of the people of Latin America, Asia and Africa, and they respect him and they are giving him the special treatment and they're giving him special banquet, special bilateral visit. Not every visitor gets a bilateral visit. It's only our Prime Minister who's got a bilateral visit. This indicates the respect and great friendship with which he is being met in Brazil. So our Prime Minister's role would be the same.
From Rio, PM Modi will travel to Brasilia, where he will be honored as a state guest by President Lula and will be hosted for an official state dinner where discussions are expected on trade, defense, energy, space, technology, agriculture and health.
Brazil also being the host of the G20, obviously the partnership between India and Brazil will make a lot of impact on the growth of both G20 as well as the global south. Brazil is also an important agricultural economy as well as connectivity. If you remember that Brazil is also part of BRICS, and therefore Brazil's participation in BRICS will contribute to the role that Brazil and India will play together in G20 when they meet again at that time.
After a 2-night stay in Brazil, the longest of this tour, before returning to New Delhi, PM Modi will make a final stop in Namibia on July 9th. This will be the third ever prime ministerial visit from India to Namibia. Over the years, India and Namibia have worked constructively across sectors to boost their partnership, with bilateral trade even crossing 500 million mark in the last year. One of the biggest memorable collaborations between the two nations being the 8 cheetahs from Namibia in 2022 brought to India for Project Cheetah at the Kuno National Park, which now boasts more than 31 cheetahs. In Namibia, the PM is expected to hold bilateral talks with his counterpart and is also expected to deliver an address at the Namibian Parliament. When it comes to leadership and support to the members of the Global South, India has always walked the talk.
साथियों, हम एक दूसरे के पड़ोसी हैं, ग्लोबल साउथ के साथी सदस्य हैं और विश्व में तेज गति से ग्रो करने वाला क्षेत्र है। हम शांतिप्रिय देश हैं, एक दूसरे की राष्ट्रीय अखंडता और संप्रभुता का सम्मान करते हैं और अपने युवाओं के उज्जवल भविष्य के प्रति हम कमिटेड हैं।
India's economy is growing rapidly and we would soon be the number 3 economy in the world after the USA and the China. So India is playing a major role. So whether it is SCO or Quad or it is G7, it's going to be difficult to not include India in those kind of deliberative forums. We have a role to play, we have an important role to play. I do hope that this role by India in the various forums will lead to a positive outcome for Indian economy.
With this 5-nation tour, India is once again set to spread the true spirit of friendship, collaboration and mutual growth with a classic dash of Modi diplomacy.